Hey everybody, this is John and welcome to the free video. And let's take a quick look at the spiders here. This is the most important index that we track in terms of its weight. And the one thing I want to point out here is that it is in the death zone here, right in between the 50 and the 618. So I always like to say, if we look at this, and I know it's a daily chart, but pretend this was a 5-minute chart. And, intraday it had this big move down, rallied back up to the 50 and the 618. What would you do here? Would you load up here long with the expectation that it's going to make new highs, or look that it could potentially retest the lows? So I am looking at this with the idea that this is a danger zone. And to have a portfolio here that's 100% long, I think is insane, as is insane as having a portfolio that is 100% short. So how can you mix and match it? Well, I like the idea here of something like NVIDIA, focus on the long side, but Facebook on the downside. And so that's kind of how we've been balancing things out here. For other markets that are out there, like bonds, at some point, bonds here, they're trying to level out. And so the question is, are they going to be able to start to rally? Same with the dollar index, okay? Because if the dollar index here actually rallies, the dollar right now, a strong dollar, has actually been correlated with the weak market. And so you want to keep an eye on this for tomorrow, as that will be critical. Other than that, what I'm looking at are special situations, okay? Roku, special situation. This stock is fascinating. We've done some small trades in this, and it has been, we got out of the rest of our long position today. Again, small positions. It gapped up $2, $2.50, and so we eased out of it. And so the question is what to do tomorrow. For those of you that are familiar with options, I mean, this is some very, very, very high implied volatility. If you compare this to normal, Roku is a high implied volatility name. But what we look for here is, okay, what's going to happen with this? The market's pricing in a $9 move. So either the stock is going to explode to the upside or it's not going to do much. And so tomorrow, at least in the room, what we'll be doing is setting up some trades at the close to take advantage of this implied volatility crush. A couple ways to do that would be to sell the at-the-money straddle, but also you could go down, so again, $9 expected move, 2 times that move would take us to $30, give or take. $32, $33. So you can sell $34 at 20 cents. Okay, so 10 contracts, that's $200. So in a situation like that, you have a 94% probability of success, but of course the 6% probability, like, wow, what if this thing really tanks after hours? So on stuff like that, I always just say, like, look, it's okay. If you want to do it with small size, that's great, or try to do it as a spread. But I find that the best thing to do in a situation like this is actually go closer to at the money and say, okay, I've got a slightly, or doing an iron fly, where you can sit there and say, you know what, I am going to sell the call and the put, okay? So if we come over here and say, all right, let's do $50. So I'm going to sell the $50 call, the $50 put, with the idea that this thing is just going to fizzle, and I'll give this $10 a room on each side to account for a disaster. It's like, okay, if I do this as 10 lots, I'm risking $3,000 to make $7,000. So the risk reward makes sense, and I like it. So that's probably a trade that I'll end up doing tomorrow on that stock. Other than that, what we want to take a look at here is what is going on next with the futures, okay? The futures at this point, ever since we got into the last couple weeks, okay, because keep in mind, what's happened in the period of 6 days here, took out everything of the last 3 months. When you get this kind of volatility, it creates these amazing opportunities that we want to take advantage of. So let's take a quick look at this. All right, so just want to let you know about, this is a class we've had a lot of people asking about. We actually had not planned on doing this until June or July, but the market conditions have changed and it is time to do this now. This is like an emergency class. And this is the link, simplertrading.com/recipe. But I mean, the nutshell of this is that we're going to be focusing on its day trading futures, okay? This is something that we have not done in 2 years, and the market now is ripe for it. But there's a couple things with this. Okay, first of all, if you're interested in day trading futures, it is the no-brainer class of the year. But a big part of this is we're going to be learning to read the internals. Okay, this is how you become a surgeon with the market. So whether you trade futures or not, if you know how to read the internals, that will help all of your trading decisions, okay? Just like, for example, timing like buying Facebook puts, okay? That's a trade I did today, was all based on the internals. Also, if you understand futures and what makes them tick, okay, they move everything else. Futures are first movers. So if you understand how to read the futures and what key levels to watch on the futures, it'll actually help you make better decisions if you're going to buy calls in Amazon or something like else too. So for me, this class is kind of like a must for the rest of the year, especially with the way the markets are acting. So what are we going to do? So this Saturday, Saturday coming up in a couple of days, this upcoming weekend, we're going to do a class with myself, Neil, and Raghi. And we're going to, first of all, if you've never done futures, that's okay. Neil is going to do a Futures 101 class. And then Raghi and I are going to split up the setups that we like to do with futures. Okay, for me, that's going to be a lot of reading internals and very specific futures trades that I like to do. Let me show you an example. So first of all, of course, there's squeezes. So when I have a squeeze with the right internals, I will load up. This was a trade that at this point was up $30,000, but eventually went up and cleaned up all those targets. But you don't need a big account to do it. So on Friday, I did a quick 2-lot trade in the NASDAQ based on this, and I'd already done a couple of other trades that day, and that was good for a quick $1,400. Okay, and so these aren't as scary as you think. So for example, on the NASDAQ, it is just $20 a point. All right, so if you're short one NASDAQ and it goes against you 10 points, that's $200. All right, so they're not as scary as people think. But what's great about this is that in a fast-moving market, what happens with stock options is that the spreads widen, okay, and the volume drops, and it's hard to get filled. But with futures, the spreads are very tight. Like in this case, like with the S&Ps and stuff like that too, oftentimes it can be like $12.50 as a spread. So one tick versus say, $1 wide in Amazon, which is $100 a contract, right? And then the volume, we'll see like say, oh wow, look at this option. It's traded, 5,000 contracts today. Well, the S&Ps trade 7, 8, 900,000 contracts a day. So the volume is very high and there's no premium. So if you, with the futures, if you buy something at 1540 and it goes to 1542, you make those 2 points. Whether with options, you have to deal with premium decay. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff with the futures if you're not aware of that you'll be pleasantly surprised with. All right, so on Saturday, we'll get you all fixed up with that. And again, it's Futures 101, it's specific future setups and how to read the internals, which it'll essentially upgrade your trading no matter what style you're doing. Okay. From there, if you're interested in live trading, we're going to do 3 days of live trading futures, which will also be great. Now that also includes a couple of indicators that we like, simpler ticks, some of the grab and go waves, things like that too. But the live trading is where it's at there. And of any class that essentially can pay for itself, this is the one that's done it over and over and over again. And from there, this master session, you might be thinking, well, what's that? Well, we're going to do a live event in March, at the end of March in Austin. We're now opening up the online version of that. So what the master entails is all of this, the Saturday class and the live trading of the futures, plus the online version, okay, of our class that we're going to do, of our live class, which is going to include, there'll be live trading sessions, a crypto session, futures leverage, trading the voodoo lines, options income, mental trading toughness. That's going to be great. We're bringing a sports coach in for that. All kinds of fun stuff there. And then, of course, the Master Plus just includes the live mentorship, which is all that, but you get to go there live, participate in the poker tournament and stuff like that too. Anyway, this is going to be a great class. This is imperative. This is the kind of knowledge that traders need in this type of market environment. So hopefully it gives you a good idea of what you could achieve or dive into with this. Again, the Pro is the Saturday class. That'll get you set up and ready to go. The Elite is something that I would highly recommend. It's an investment that'll pay off multiple times as you get to see this stuff done in a live environment. All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you at the next update.